Welcome back to another episode of the Scale Smart podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of being joined by Sergio Echeverri, the Director of Operations of DevSavant. Sergio, thank you for joining me today.
Of course, Jacob, how are you? How's everything going?
Yes, amazing. Pleasure to have you here as well. So just kick us off, Sergio. Tell me a little bit about yourself, your journey of becoming the Director of Operations, and what does DevSavant do?
Absolutely, yeah. So a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Bogota, Colombia. Then I went to study college in the US on a soccer scholarship. So I played soccer over there for a little bit. And I started noticing the US culture, right? So obviously being from Colombia, you have the US pretty close to us. And that took me to my journey where I'm at right now, working at DevSavant. I've always wanted to go back home after graduating. And I did, and I was able to find a US company that was hiring in Latin America that work directly with US companies. So that's what DevSavant is. DevSavant is a staff augmentation company mostly that provides services to companies in the US. We can deep dive a little bit in it later, but that's mostly what we do. Yeah.
Okay, and what was your experience before becoming the Director of Ops at DevSavant?
Yeah, I started working at DevSavant about 4.5 years ago. I joined actually in the administrative department, and then I kept growing inside the company. I was I was an admin controller, I was a business analyst, I was working directly with the CEO as a strategy advisor, and then moved on to director of operations. Prior to that, I worked for a couple of US companies that completely different background. We used to have restaurants in different airports. So it was more, yeah, service industry. And that kind of helped me learn a little bit more about how to treat people, how to deal with difficult customers. So it's great to have that background as well to have it here.
Yeah, amazing. And what would you say have been some of the biggest challenges when it comes to delivering the complex solutions that you guys do?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we started small. We started working with an investment fund. It's called Savant Growth, and that's part of our ecosystem. So for us, it wasn't as hard as other LATAM companies to break through in the US market just because we had the investment fund and we worked directly with their portfolio companies. So the biggest part right now has been growing to another other funds that can recommend us, and that's been the challenging part, honestly, being able to connect with different investment funds and trying to get them to see the value of why working with us. They're extending their investment in the other companies by being able to maintain quality and working with nearshore in Latin America.
And do you think you guys have done when it comes to adapting to those challenges? And what are some, obviously, there's one challenge there. Have you got maybe one or two more that you guys could share?
Of course. Yeah. So we've noticed that we've been working with a very niche department, and it's specifically B2B SaaS companies that are between 5 million and $150 million in revenue. So that doesn't encompass like big corporations, right? So we're working with very niche companies, and that made us realize that voice to voice marketing is the most important one. So partnering with investment funds and then they recommending us to their portfolio companies has been the way that we've grown to where we're at. So we started with Savant Growth, then we partnered with Connect Partners, which is a company an investment fund, sorry, in the UK. And the last one we've partnered with was Hyperspace Ventures that they're located in Florida as well.
And with AI and with automation massively on the rise, what are you guys doing at DevSavant to make sure you're always adapting your services to capture the new growth opportunities that are horizon?
Yeah, so we've adopted AI both internally and for our portfolio companies and the companies that we work for. And we were recently at a tech summit that the investment fund does. We were in Miami for a week with all the investment companies and the portfolio companies, sorry, just speaking about the way they're adopting AI. And what we're doing is we saw a huge opportunity in automation and kind of like creating these agentic AIs to automate the most repetitive tasks that we had internally, and that has allowed us to grow from we were about 40 people all around, and right now we're 130 people working with our customers, and we've been able to maintain a core team of around 10 to 12 people to manage the operations. So a lot of automations inside of the company, a lot of repetitive tasks and creating more output for still the current users that we have. And then for our portfolio companies, they've been using different tools to improve output through for their developers. So that's the way we've been doing it.
How do you see automation within companies kind of shifting their approach on things? Like, for example, I work with an agentic AI company, right? And they automate email processes and document processes, and being able to understand like that is where the world is kind of going now. You don't have to worry about anything. Like I know when we had a little call beforehand, we spoke about potentially like an AI SDR, right? And I was thinking about employing somebody within that role, but then I've realized I could just get an AI to do it for me or an automation. So where do you see it kind of going, and what would you say to companies who are maybe a bit on the fence of adopting to different automations and AI?
Yeah, so I think it's funny because I actually had this discussion with my boss last week, and we were saying that AI is not a trend anymore. You know, like AI is here to stay. It's gonna be like the internet or the industrial revolution. It's gonna be probably huge or bigger than what those were. And for me, if you don't get on board of the AI wave, you're gonna get relegated and you're gonna get behind. A lot of
Mm.
people are worried about the jobs that are gonna be replaced with AI. And I think this is just a huge opportunity to launch new companies. Right now, people don't even need to be an entrepreneur with several teams. They can just be a solopreneur. Jacob, I believe you're the greatest example for this, right? I mean, you're a one person team with a bunch of agents, AI agents, just working and getting deals done. So I think that's impressive, and it's a huge opportunity for people that have always been on the fence. Hey, should I start my own company or should I stay at the job that I'm at? Well, right now is the moment to just go out and do it. So yeah, you should definitely get on it and then learn how to do it. There's a bunch of courses online. You can even start talking to the AI, and they will walk you through it themselves. So I think it's massive what we're seeing right now.
And yeah, I think you made a very good point there. People are very much on the topic of like AI is like a buzzword, AI is a trend, but a lot of people who I've spoke to have said AI is just like when the internet first came a thing, and everyone was a little bit cautious to kind of adapt to it at the start, but now it's the new normality. And I think it's going to become the same with AI. Like I've noticed now that I use like ChatGPT, for example, just like I use the internet.
Absolutely.
And I think once people start understanding that things can be outsourced and you don't have to be managing someone, and you can just get an automation to do it, like for example the email processes or like an SDR, or just even someone doing like inbox management. You don't need to manage someone. You may need to just train the AI, but they're going to learn 10 times quicker than a human would be. I know you mentioned as well, Sergio, when we spoke as well, you guys have got some new projects coming. Talk to me a little bit more about that, and how are you guys planning to expand on that?
Yeah, so actually one of our biggest customers that we've been partnering with for the past 6 years, they are a telecommunications agency, and what they're doing is they are creating chatbots and creating voice automation agents that allow people to communicate with their customers through AI. So one of their biggest vertical right now is the medical industry, and that's kind of like our next step of what DevSavant is going to start doing. We're moving to a professional services path. We're partnering with IntelliPeer to onboard their customers. So what they're doing is they're creating AI agents to pretty much answer the phone for their customers. So if you want to call and get a medical appointment, you're going to be able to do it through IntelliPeer, and you're not going to need to have a person that's going to be sitting there. Again, going back to people being worried about getting replaced, there's a huge use case that IKEA, I'm sure you're familiar with it, it's pretty big. What they did was they replaced their AI, their call center agents, and they retrained them to be custom designers, right? So now their call centers are being operated by AI, but their people that used to work for the call centers are now able to charge for a bigger service and create a new income for IKEA, which is the customer or the custom design department. So you just hire them and they tell you how to paint your walls, how to fit this desk or this chair in your environment. So I think that's a great use case of how to implement AI and then retrain your people to have them be more successful and give them more opportunities to grow inside the business, right? It doesn't necessarily mean cutting cost. It just means giving your people another opportunity to grow.
Yeah, I think it's quite rare that that happens in IKEA's. I've never heard of that before. That's a really really good use case and a really good example. I mean, AI phone boxes really really annoy me. Really annoy me. I feel like I can never get the answer I want.
Absolutely.
But I feel like that's sometimes with AI chatbots as well. I mean, sometimes, like for example, with Amazon, I know I'm going to get the same generated response, so I don't even tell it my problem anymore. I just go talk to an associate and I just get it to put me right in contact with someone.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's several different solutions out there that some of them are not great. I mean, here at Colombia, if you call some of the biggest enterprises there are, you're still talking to like, say one if you want to do this, say two if you want to do X or whatever, right? That I feel is like past. Right now, we're at a point that AI has a 1 second response time frame or analyzing time frame, so you're able to actually talk to like if you're talking to a person, and that's what our customer does through custom workflows and through custom flows. They pretty much just are able to emulate a conversation that a person would have just with the AI, and they work with very specific use cases. So scheduling an appointment or cancel out, right? It's not like every single time you're going to be talking to an AI, but that's what we're going to be doing. And we're going to be working alongside our IntelliPeer to be able to onboard customers faster. And that's where DevSavant comes in, right? Talk about professional services and what we want to focus on in the future.
And where do you see it going in the future? Like, what next do you think could possibly come up? And how are you guys at DevSavant staying ahead?
Yeah, so right now there's a lot of industries that are not prepared to jump on the AI wave just because they do not have the systems or the experience to do it, right? So very traditional sectors, for example, the medical industry, right? So we've seen that they use legacy softwares that do not have APIs or they're still managing their databases through an Excel spreadsheet, right? That's where we're going to come in and where we're going to be able to connect their legacy systems or whatever system they have to IntelliPeers to be able to jump on this AI wave and don't get relegated, as I mentioned before.
And what are you guys doing at DevSavant to make sure everything that you do when it comes to automation, when it comes to potentially new AI things coming into place, you're adapting to make sure that the customers which you serve get the best possible service?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
How are you guys making sure you're staying ahead to make sure your customers are getting the best possible service as technology is constantly changing?
Of course, absolutely. So, I mean, our main focus has been hiring great talent in Latin America. We're able to find amazing talent for a fraction of the cost that you would get in the US, right? So by partnering with IntelliPeer, we already know what their API looks like. We already know what their system looks like, and we're very familiar with what they need and how they need it. And all we need to do is just go in, do a discovery within their customer, identify the best solution possible with our engineers, our team, and create a custom solution for them to connect directly to IntelliPeer. So by knowing the IntelliPeer product, we've been working with them for 6 years, as I mentioned, and then leveraging the great talent that you can find here in Latin America, we're able to provide a great service to their customers.
What are some of the goals, just to finish off? What are some of the goals? What are some of the things you've got in place for the next 12 months for the company, Sergio?
So right now we just started the program with them. So we're about a couple of months in. Our main goal is going to be able to expand these services to other companies. So there's different portfolio companies from within the Savant ecosystem that may have the need to expand into these professional services so that they can onboard their customers faster and at a fraction of the cost that it would cost to do it inside of the US, right? So that's the main goal. The main goal is going to be able to get started with IntelliPeer, replicate the process into other companies and other industries, and then just grow more partners as we as.
And if people wanted to reach out to you, Sergio, find some more information about DevSavant, where's the best place for them to do that?
Absolutely, yeah. They can just go to our website, devsavant.com. They can just look us up on Google. And then if not, they can just contact us through LinkedIn, which is obviously the biggest platform to do it. So yeah, Sergio Echeverri is, and then Alejandra Garcia is our growth director, and Daniel Peña is our CEO. So if you contact any of us, we'll be able to get back to you and then just get you a quote.
Amazing. Well, Sergio, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. I appreciate you coming on, sharing your expertise. It's been great.
Of course, Jacob. Yeah, thank you so much for hosting me.
Amazing. Thank you again, Sergio.
Yeah, take care. Bye.